Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
We'll wait probably maybe 2 minutes and then we'll get started. I wanted to give everybody a chance if they have any internet stuff going on. So I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to be here too.
I'm glad. Of course, of course. Fun stuff. Is it hot where you're at?
Yes, I'm on the East Coast and it's hot and a lot of mosquitoes and all of that.
Okay. Okay. I am on the West Coast, minus the mosquitoes, but at night is when they really start picking up. So,
Yes.
well, it's 4 o'clock here, so it is night over where you're at. But
yes, it's 7.
yeah. Got it. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and just introduce myself and explain a little bit about my background, and then we'll go ahead and get into the training. I will go over some of the topics and then definitely leave time at the end for questions and answers and thoughts and ideas. So I just want to make sure that I let you know right up front that that's how the format will be. My name is Sena DeLeon, and I am a mom of many, many, many kids. We have a blended family of 13. We have 10 girls, 3 boys. And no, I didn't give birth to all of them, but they're all mine. And 2 grandsons. So I have been in this field for going on it's close to 22 years now. I started off just, taking the early childhood classes at the junior college, and I've always known that I wanted to work with kids. Love it, love it, love it. So it's just been a passion. I have worked in center base. I've worked in-home. I've done in the classroom teaching. I've done directing, child development specialist, and overseeing programs. And in the last 8 years, prior to staying home the last 8 years, I was an early interventionist for children with special needs, and it was primarily autism, working with children actually 0 to 3. The youngest that I had seen that was diagnosed already was 18 months. So it was really amazing to see the early, the early work with kiddos with autism and just the big. Is my camera not on?
Sena, it's on. We can
Yes.
see you. Oh, you
you
closed
can.
it
Okay.
for a second. Okay, now it's good.
Okay. Oh, it's on. Okay. Alrighty. So back to that. So I just have, a passion and always knew I wanted to work with kids and, have worked extensively with families. That's just my passion. So center-based, in-home based, children with autism, special needs, so I went to school and my degree's in human development with an emphasis in early childhood studies. And like I said, I've been doing it for, over 20 years now. And life in itself gives you a bunch of experience. I'm sorry that I'm buffering. Sorry. Let's see. So my passion right now in doing the online is connecting with families, identifying, where I can step in and help. And excuse me, because most of you already know, we are our children's first teachers. So, 0 to 3 is the biggest, growth spurt and the most important time as far as development. So, just catching families early and giving them the tools and the know-how is absolutely a passion of mine. And I'm super excited. The app ParentGood is something I am so excited about. Honestly, I didn't even know about this. I've been a stay-at-home mom of twin boys for the last 8 years. And now I'm going back into the workforce, but being able to do it on this platform, reaching so many different people is amazing. So I'm super excited about the ParentGood app. I encourage you to go and share. I mean, it's an invaluable tool for all of us. So with that being said, I'd like to just go ahead and get into the topic for our discussion. Today, I want to talk to you about the functions of behavior. So when we talk about the functions of behavior, we obviously know no child is the same. They're all different. There's all kinds of behaviors that we see, and realizing that there's certain functions behind those behaviors is crucial, because once we determine what those functions are, then we can determine how we respond, when we respond, what route do we go. And so it's just imperative that we understand the function behind the behavior. So I want to talk about, they say that there's 4 primary functions. I'm going to address six functions, and I'll tell you why I didn't add 2 in, but maybe I did. So, but the first would be the function behind a behavior of obtaining a desired object. So if you have, a child who's screaming, who's crying, and who's reaching for something, or trying to access something tangible. So obviously the function behind that tantrum, that fit, or, just that behavior was to get that object. If you have even an older child, getting angry or upset about something in there, it could be to access a tangible object, video games, something like that. I've had it in my household with the cell phones. So that's definitely a function of behavior, to access a tangible object. Then we have the escape and avoidance. Escape and avoidance is very common. There a lot of these behaviors, we see them, but we don't necessarily know what they're called, or we don't have that that title on it. So then it's like, okay, so what's going on? So it's good to identify them, because then we get an idea of what's really going on. So with escape and avoidance, this one's a really interesting one to me, because there's so many different aspects. You can have a child who is, let's just say there's a child with autism. And if you take a child with autism, or into a situation where there's bright lights, there's loud music, and it's so overstimulating, they're going to run, or they can cover their ears. That's an escaping and avoiding. If you have a child that is doing the stalling tactics for bedtime or bath time, like if they're starting to whine, or if they're starting to, oh, I want some water, or I'm still hungry. That's my son's favorite, is I'm still hungry. So those are some escape and avoid stalling tactics. He's escaping, he's avoiding having to go to bed. Then there's also the whining. So if they're, the whining or the tantruming, you have to see, well, what is the reason that they're doing that? Are they trying to get out of doing something? Are they trying to, if there's a situation and something's going on and maybe they're scared, if they're, running and going and hiding, that's escaping and avoiding. Another one that we see a lot in terms of this particular function is potty training. And I've been going over this a lot lately. I have seen a lot of clients whose kiddos are struggling with having a bowel movement on the toilet. They'll go potty in the toilet, but they're not having the bowel movement in the toilet. They are going, and hiding behind the couch, or, and that hiding behind the couch is actually a sign of potty training readiness. They're knowing what their body is getting ready to do. They're going, over to an area where they're by themselves. So it's kind of got 2 components. It also has the component of, in certain situations, avoiding going on the potty. So that hiding could also be a way that they're escaping and avoiding going on the toilet. And then we have attention-seeking behavior. I want to stop right here because I want to address the fact that, and this isn't new. This isn't something I've come up with. This is something that, I've just learned over the years, that there are definitely two areas in our kiddos' lives, the two buckets that they need to get filled on a daily basis. And one of them is attention. And the other one is like the power and control. So if you have a little guy who is whining and, pulling on mom and just, that's, and that he's not hungry, and that he doesn't want something tangible, and he's not trying to escape, he is wanting attention. If you have a child who might be even pestering other children, like tapping them or, just doing certain things that is getting the other children's attention, but it's not so much in an appropriate way. So attention seeking is extremely common. I've been talking about it a lot the last couple weeks. That's why one of the reasons why I wanted to do this training, because it's just been coming up so much. So I wanted to really address this area of attention seeking. And a lot of times we as parents and caregivers, we sit back and go, okay, you're telling me that this child is doing this because they need attention. How in the world am I supposed to give them any more attention than I've already been giving them? Like, I'm drained. I have this child over here, and I'm, running ragged. So it's not necessarily that they need the attention that is sitting down in front of them and doing one-on-one or just holding them. It can be a multitude of things. It can be, a word of, you're doing a great job. And that's a reinforcer as well, but it's also attention. It can be, even just a handhold, reading a book together. There's so many forms. Eye contact is a form of attention. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to reinforce that attention for your kiddos. If we also see communication also sometimes for the functions of behavior. If we're having a child who their speech and their language is not, where they're able to communicate successfully, then you're going to see different behaviors. Because my favorite example of this would be if you're going through the drive-thru somewhere and you've ordered, a cheeseburger, hold the pickles, and a Diet Coke, and you know that you said it clearly, that you stated what you wanted, and you feel like you got your point across. So you get to the window, you get ready, you pay, and you get a burrito and you get a coffee, and of course you're going to be frustrated. Of course you're going to be disappointed. Of course you're going to go, but if that's something that happens over and over, then you're going to get to a place where you might become aggressive, and you might stop trying to communicate. So when it comes to communication, that's a big one for kiddos. If they're having that hard time, you might see acting out. So that function of behavior for communication is definitely something to be aware of. We also have self-stimulating. And this one is one that I've seen a lot. It's not just with kiddos with autism. We do see it a lot with kiddos with autism. There's the stimming behaviors, which could be like the hand flapping or the looking at things from the corners of their eyes. There's even, I have one. I'm ADHD, and my stimming behavior or my self-stimulating behavior is constantly moving my hands, my feet. My husband will sit and put his hand on my leg, like, okay. My father-in-law, when he first met me, he was like, are you nervous? And I said, no. And he said, because you don't stop moving. And I said, you know what? I'm ADHD. Something about the moving, I pick my nails all the time, something about the stimulation, the movement, the input that I get from those movements help me to focus, help me to stay grounded. So when we're talking about kids, I worked with a mom this week, very interesting. Her child is ADHD or ADD. And, you would think that when you have a child who needs to sit down and focus and do what they need to do, some kids you can say, okay, go outside and jump on the trampoline for 10 minutes. And then when you come back inside, we're going to sit and do your work. Well, some kiddos, that's too much. That's way too much stimulation. They are going to, it's not going to work, so being aware of your child's self-stimulating behaviors, their physical needs, because instead of going outside and running around to get his energy out, this little guy might do better with a body sock, which is something you can get on Amazon that you go in and you're pushing, and it's giving it has resistance. Resistance bands are good. Weighted blankets are good when it comes to this kind of thing. And then we also have like the bouncing balls that you can just sit on, and it's kind of just giving you that constant input. There's also a kind of like a cocoon swing that they can go in, and it just wraps them up. So it just depends on the input that child needs. And I want to make sure that, Miriam, I see your question. So I want to make sure that we're going to go over our training, and then the last 30 minutes, I'm going to open it up to questions, and I will do my best to answer everything. Also picking and rocking. Some people are rockers, even, moms, they'll rock back and forth, and those things are meeting needs that we have. So if we have kids that have needs physically that aren't being met, then they're going to have a difficult time focusing and doing, certain tasks. So that's a function of behavior that's a very interesting one to me. That we need to be aware of. And then the last one is the control and the power. And I saved this one for last because this is the one that some people don't really identify as a function of behavior as one of the primary functions, because if you think about it, most of these or all of these behaviors are really a form of the child having some type of control. And that is really important because it goes back to, I tell the parents that I work with and the caregivers, if you had zero control over what's going on in your life, if you had zero control of what you were going to eat for any type of food that day, what you were going to do with your day, what you were going to wear, when you were going to do certain things, I'm sure you would have a difficult time with it. And when I stop and think, okay, these kids, kids don't have a say-so as to certain things. So of course, there's going to be times where their behavior is, undesirable because of them feeling that lack of control and power. So when it comes back to those two buckets that we talk about of power and control and attention, it's important that we fill those buckets every day. And, when you talk about the power and control, little tips that I've been giving frequently are, snack time. Offer multiple snacks. Offer acceptable snacks on the table. I have, with my boys, I'll do, okay, boys, there's going to be grapes, string cheese, or carrots and celery out. And you pick one that you want for snack, and that gives them the power. Okay, I get to choose. I had a mom, it was a really cool comment that she said. She said that she has done that in the past, and her child would just say, I don't know what to pick. I don't know what to pick. And it was this back and forth and back and forth. And it was almost like that function of that behavior was, are you trying to escape and avoid snack time, or are you trying to have that power and control? So what I recommended was go ahead and put those acceptable snacks out, and then set the timer on the stove, because small kids don't have that 100% understanding of the concept of time. So if you put a timer on the stove, or you do a little timer, an audible timer that they can hear, then it'll start to kind of click. So she would put the snacks out on the table and she would say, your snacks are out on the table. You have 10 minutes to pick one, and then I'm going to be putting them away. So at that point, you've given them the option to have that power, that control, and you've also said, the clear guidelines of what to expect when that timer goes off. So, if she doesn't want to make the choice that day, then the next time those snacks are offered, I would be, I bet you that she would make that decision prior to that 10 minutes. So we've talked about those functions of behavior. We've talked about the 2 buckets. And then we also talked about just the fact that, every child is different. And when we respond to the specific behaviors, I wanted to give you some examples of things that you could see and ways that you could respond. So if you have, a child who is the power and control, they want to do something right now, and it's like, that's it, I want to do this, and there's no negotiating, and you don't want them to do that. You want them to clean up over here first. So a quick tip and technique you can use is called first this, then that. First, you clean up your toys, then you get to go outside. Or first you brush your teeth, then we get to read a book. You're stating it in a way that's positive. You're giving them you're letting them know, like, I hear you, I acknowledge what you want, I acknowledge that I am hearing you, but first we have some things that we need to do, and then we can proceed to A, B, and C. So when we word it like that, it's not shutting them down. So, because when we're shut down right away, it's like, I know I get turned off. I just get like, oh, okay, I'm just not going to say anything, or I'm not going to, so giving them, just doing these little ways that we change our language makes such a big difference. We also have my other favorite little tip is drop the okay. And I've been talking about that one a lot lately. So if we have, if we have a child who, let's just say we have a child who's throwing a tantrum. Actually, I'm going to hold off on the drop the okay. I want to talk about this first. If we have a child who's throwing a tantrum, and it's not a function of behavior where they want something to eat or they're hungry, it's clearly a tantrum for attention. It's whining. It's, it's clearly an attention-seeking behavior. The best thing, and this is the hardest thing for caregivers, especially moms, because, if our baby's crying and our baby wants us, it's like, oh, they want their mama. But at the end of the day, it's like, but we need to respond appropriately. So if we have a baby or a kiddo, I call my 17-year-old baby. So if we have a child who's throwing a fit, who is clearly doing it for attention, the best thing to do is ignore that behavior. If they're not in danger, if they're not putting anyone else in danger, ignore it. I had a child, I was working with a family, and the child was, being angry about certain things. They were playing, her and mom were playing, and she was angry, and she was, throwing a tantrum about something, but it was clearly more about the attention because baby brother was there. So I asked mom, like, why don't you try to simply just turn your back and start playing on the other side? And as soon as the little girl stops the crying, stops the fussing, then you turn her back around and you acknowledge her. What was it that you wanted? Use your words and tell me, what specifically that you wanted or whatever it was. So you're ignoring the behavior, the negative behavior, and then you're turning back and you're acknowledging the positive behavior. If you're thinking about behaviors in terms of, if you have the behaviors that you want to see increase, you want to see compliance increase, you want to see language increase, you want to see these these behaviors increase and you want to see these behaviors decrease, like the whining, the tantruming, you want to see these decrease. Obviously, the ones that you want to increase, you're going to pour into those. You're going to feed those behaviors. So the ones that you want to decrease, you don't want to feed into those. So when it comes to the attention one, which is like one of the biggest ones that I do see, I would definitely say, you know, that there is that, okay, well, you know, ignoring the behavior. Now, let's just do a quick, if you have a child that was behaving in a way and you've already, you know, there's already clear guidelines, because the thing is, away from just in your everyday communication with children, you need to always talk about expectations and what's acceptable. And we walk in our house, we use kind words in our home. We keep our hands to ourselves so that when these, when problem areas do occur, that, you know, those quick little words that you have to say or something like that will get them thinking like, oh, we've talked about this, or, oh, you know, with sharing, like that's a big one, especially, you know, with kids, younger kids. And it's like, I use the my turn now, your turn later. So, you know, and then we do like a countdown for them. So it's just, there's so many different techniques and ways that we can deal with these certain behaviors, but it's all about identifying the function behind the behavior. Why is your child crying and screaming? Why are they whining? Why are they running away from you? Or why are they hiding in the corner? Or, you know, why are they rocking back and forth? Or why are they, you know, there's so many different components and there's so many different ways to address them that will help. That's what I find so interesting and fascinating, is trying to figure out what it is that the child's, you know, needing in that moment, and then helping them get what they need in an acceptable, appropriate, timely manner so that they can be successful and that they can you know, have those positive relationships with their parents. So we're trying to meet their needs in an appropriate way, and in a way that's going to grow them, and in ways that aren't going to, you know, have them make them have a setback, or, you know, enforcing negative behaviors. So I think that that's a big thing that we just need to become more aware of. And, you know, on the ParentGood app, there are I mean, there's so many different components. There's so many different areas of needs, different ages. When you go on, you know, if you have a child who's 7 and he's really struggling with even self-confidence, resilience, there's somebody on the ParentGood app that you can even, you know, reach out to and get that consultation. And you know, I know for myself, and I can only speak for myself, I'm not doing it for any other reason other than I love it. I love seeing parents and seeing kids' relationships go from that tension to those positive, and I see caregivers and parents like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that before. Like that would probably really help. So there's just so many different cool avenues to go. We are at the half an hour mark, so I wanted to go ahead and open it up to questions. I'm a fast talker. I will do my best to, you know, address questions. So if you have questions, I can try my best to answer them at this time. And we also have somebody on with us who will, if there's any, you know, issues, we can get some support too. So I see one question from someone who says 9-year-old has ADHD. He's definitely gets more hyper if he runs around. Would you please give me more ideas for how to help out with ADHD? Okay, I love it, I love it, I love it. Yes. Sensory, if you go online and you even look up sensory tools for, okay, when we say ADHD and when we say autism, you know, it's not that they're not the same clearly. However, it all falls under this big umbrella. So if you even look up sensory tools for autism, and you can read the descriptions on some of the items, those are what I'm talking about. Those things work so well. There's a disc that I purchased myself for my daughter, and it worked wonders. It's about the size of a Frisbee, and it's about, I'd say about 3 inches thick, and it just has little pokey things all on the top of it. And you set it on the child's chair, and they can sit, and my daughter was able to take it to school. She would sit on it, and it was like a little, okay, I'm getting the input that she needs while just sitting down. You also have the tension bands. Those are good to even put when they have to do seat work at home. You can give them those exercise tension bands, and they can do that around their ankles. My kids have trouble in daycare with impulse behaviors. I try to punish them at home, but it doesn't work. Any tips on how to correct them? It really depends on what the specific behaviors are. When we talk about the behaviors, we also have to talk about like the antecedent, like what's happening before the behavior. What's the scenario? I have a little guy who is struggling at home, but at daycare, he's, you know, phenomenal. So the difference there is at home and at daycare. So we also have to identify who the behaviors are around. What are the specific behaviors? And then you can go from there. My son will walk with his daycare class, no issues. They use leash ropes. However, when we walk him, as soon as you let him go, he runs. With that situation, that's a definite like safety situation. So that would have to be like a holding hand, and I would not let him run unless it's like in a gated area, because that's a definite like health and safety type thing. My 16-year-old doesn't negotiate. Pick up your laundry, then we will talk about that purchase you're asking about. Answer is always no, it's my way. Do you have it? Oh, what you could do with that. See, and the thing is, I don't have all the answers at all. Trust me, I am a parent of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. But on the ParentGood app, if you select that age, and you can even go in and select, you know, specific things that you're dealing with, the specialist that specializes in that area, then, you know, you will be able to get a free consultation and go from there. That's why I love this app. How do I get my 5-year-old daughter to not hide away when she's feeling sad or upset? I try to come to me and talk to me, but she doesn't know how to express herself. If she's going away and she's not seeking out attention when she's sad or upset and she's just kind of by herself, I would wonder if you might want to start talking to her or letting her have some books that she can even look at, even reading some books about, because it's not a bad thing to, if they're feeling upset, that's, you know, if she's upset, she's coping in a way that's not hurting anybody else. So I would maybe try some books on how to communicate, you know, what you can say when you're feeling upset, things like that. Or even, you know, watching YouTube has some really cool videos on how to communicate, how to read social cues for some kiddos. When I'm in trouble at school, my son runs and hide. We have talked about when in trouble, you take time out to think about it and wishes, but the school makes him pick up because they can't handle him. Oh, okay. Whenever I have the situation where a school is sending the child home and saying they can't handle it, I definitely would reach out reach out to somebody on this app, because, you know, when you have an area that's specifically for kids at school, it really makes me wonder. So I would need to sit down and talk about, you know, why is he running? Who's there? How many people are supervising? Something like that. Like, in my opinion, when I was a director, there wasn't any time that a child should be so far out of reach that a teacher couldn't go and assist right away. Because, you know, even
Sena, we can't hear you now.
I think your mic's on.
I can't hear anything.
Hello? Hello?
that way. Are you able to hear me now? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay. Sometimes my little Bluetooth things work great, sometimes they don't. So there was I think it was Enemy was asking something and I didn't see it. And like I said, there are so many, you know, so many different things that we encounter as caregivers, and I do not know all of them. So my 5-year-old daughter says everyone hates her, constantly lashes out in anger and tantrum. We added onto our family, but he is 10 months and things haven't got any better with her. So if I'm understanding, you have a new baby who's 10 months. 14, if you could scroll up, otherwise I can resend it. Yeah, if you can resend it, and Emily, and then I'm gonna respond to the Kayla. You need to determine what why she is saying those things. Do you feel like the function of behavior would be attention? Because a lot of the times in this particular instance, when they're saying that they says everyone hates her, lashing out, you know, those are difficult because you need to determine if that in fact is happening. Because if that in fact is happening, then something needs, you know, somebody needs to step in or even talk to her about, you know, the truth of the matter is everybody doesn't hate her. You love her. And, you know, just trying to figure out what the function of these behaviors of the tantruming, is it attention? We often find that kiddos will regress or act out when there is a new baby in the home. Do you have any tips for my 2-year-old to stop waking up in the middle of the night and coming to my bed? When you find out that answer, you can let me know. No, I'm just kidding. My son, same thing. We just had to make it clear, you know, your bed, your room, letting him, you know, it has to be, if you've decided in your home that that's not something acceptable, then you make those rules and you set up the, you know, this is your bed, your room, your space, and mommy's room and is my room and my space. And you really have to just reinforce the behavior of staying, how to handle a 14-year-old is angry and didn't know how to control his behavior, what can you send point of view. Okay, that one is a definite. I would recommend reaching out to somebody on the ParentGood app for that specializes in that age group. I'm more with the younger kiddos, but there's definitely people on there. Both of my children, I have teens. They're both they both see therapists because I want them to feel comfortable in speaking to somebody who's not me, and I want them to get the tools to help them out. So we have to get away from this idea of talking to therapists or being in therapy is taboo, because it's not. I feel like it is. It was just me and her for 5 years. I know the transition's hard. So she sat out screaming at the top of her lungs for 20 minutes. Nothing would calm her down. Oh, goodness. So with Kayla, it probably is. What you can do is start filling her control and power bucket and her attention bucket. Mommy and me dates. You can do, let her really know that she's the big sister and give her some power and control when it comes to the sibling. Can you help me pick out the baby's outfit today? I really would love to know what outfit you think we should put on baby today. Or can you pick out a book to read to the baby? Just giving her some control and power in helping care for the baby. But then also just, that quality time with her, but giving it to her at the acceptable and appropriate time. You don't want to give it to her when she's throwing the tantrum. You want to give it to her when she is behaving. So if you see her, sitting and playing with the baby nicely, you go over to her and you say, you know what? You are the best big sister. I love the way that you're helping. I don't know if it was a baby brother or sister, but I love how you're helping your brother. You are just the best. Thank you so much for showing him how to behave. Or, thank you so much for just being such a big helper, and giving her the praise when we so often, a lot of times in my home, I'll walk by one of my kids and I'll hear, or a couple of them, and I'll hear one of them be kind to the other one. And I think, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I am doing something right. But I think it, and then I don't say it. So I have to be intentional about saying the positive stuff, because the negative, boom, I'm on it. It's like, oh, we have to deal with this. But the positive, it's like, let me enforce that. Let me sit down, and you know what? I love you guys I saw today that you guys were sharing, you were taking turns, you weren't arguing. You helped your brother make his bed this morning. I really appreciate that, because in our house, our deal is, because teamwork makes the dream work. So, if this person isn't able to do it, then this person can come in and help, and just seeing it, thinking it, and saying it. Because a lot of times, like I said, we see it, we think it, but then we don't go that next step and let them know, gosh, you did such a great job. Like, I would have never thought of that. We have like 15 more minutes. Does anybody else have any more questions? Thank you so much. Some of these we do, others we'll try. Good. Yeah, Kayla, for sure. Having a new sibling, you definitely see regression in the older siblings. Very often you see regression. You can see regression in all kinds of areas. So just, really including her, and just letting her know that, you aren't replaced. You're still mommy's big girl, and you're still, now we just have somebody else that we get to love and we get to spend time with, and, and it's a lifelong friend, things like that. So, really just letting her know that she's still very much valued, and, try your best to do some one-on-one time with her, reading a book, or, having a little date together. Does the ParentGood app charge for services? Okay, so the first use is it's a 15-minute consultation, and it is free. So when you go into the ParentGood app and have the consultation with one of the specialists, it's a free consultation. Now, I can speak from myself. When I do my consultations, I will then send a session, like a consultation email with the notes from my consultation, as well as my recommendations. So say, for instance, we have somebody who's, has some questions about potty training. So we'll do the consultation. We'll go over, some questions, and
I'll get feedback, and it gives me a pretty good idea at that point of, what's going on and what the possible needs are. So then I will let the parent know during my consultation what I recommend. Perfect example. A lot of times with the toilet training, I have a toilet training package on my page on my profile on the app, and I think it's two sessions, 2 1-hour sessions. And when you get like the multiple sessions, the rates are discounted. But very often, like I said, you get the consultation for free, and then you can get the sessions. Sometimes things can be discussed and a plan of action is made, and then you've got, one session, maybe 2. And then you can always follow up with the specialist at a later date if you need. Then there's other specialists that offer more extensive packages. My packages tend to stay, not as many sessions, just because certain areas that I work with tend to be like a 1, 2, 3, 4 type of session deal. And then I have the follow-up and feedback. And during that time, I try my best to continue with the support with the parents via email. Are there any other questions? Let's see. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I'm so excited. This was my first actual training on the ParentGood app. Like I said, I've been at home with my guys, and I was ready to get back. My 3-year-old boy is very stubborn, and he says no to everything. Bath, change of clothes, it's a nightmare, get him to daycare, when or something. So, when it comes to these type of behaviors, Sally, it's really going back to these functions. That's why I picked this topic. I'm so excited, because once we determine what the functions are behind these behaviors, like is he being stubborn because he's trying to avoid the bath, which escape and avoid, then we have to deal with it accordingly. If it's, when it's something that's non-negotiable, that's where we come into these tips and tricks of first bath, then we get to read a book, or first bath, then we can have, a bedtime snack or something like that. Sometimes kiddos do really well with bubbles in the bathroom, and that's a big, like, oh my gosh, I would have thought of that. But the little bubble machines that they have during potty training issues lately, I've been recommending bubbles. Put those bubbles on and let them sit there and just, because kids love bubbles. So determining what the function behind these specific behaviors, as far as ADHD is concerned, you can request a session on the ParentGood app and get a consultation. I'm not a doctor, so I cannot diagnose, but what we can do is let you know, okay, these are some red flags. I definitely would recommend that you reach out to your child's pediatrician to get something, get a diagnosis, but we can definitely help you at least recognize those red flags, so that when you do go to your pediatrician, you're prepared to say, okay, we're seeing this, and this. My 9-year-old respects her mom at the house, but our house, me being the stepmom. Oh, I am a stepmama too. And one of the things that we have found that works in our home is, I don't know what the relationship is between you and her biological mother, but the biggest thing that we've seen in our home that works is the open communication, making sure that whenever my husband and I discuss anything to do with the kids, we go in a separate room, we talk about it, we discuss what's going on, what's the issue, and then we come to an agreement as to what we're going to say, what we're going to do. And then we go back out, or we call one of our kids in our room and we have a meeting and we let them know, this is what's going on. And this is, so that we are a united front, and that they know, that we're a team, and so there's no playing each other back and forth. Letting her know that nobody will replace her mom, but you are the adult in the home that needs to have that respect. And a lot of it has to do, in my opinion, with just having that united front, and having dad make sure this is my wife, and this is the person that I've chosen. And just like you have to show me respect, you need to be respectful. And even just building that relationship with her over time should help with that, because we don't start automatically having a great relationship with somebody. We don't start automatically with just oh, this person is and I'm going to just start automatically respecting them. So building that rapport, find some common ground, find something that you guys can do together that that would build that relationship. Kind of maybe even go into the room when she's in her room, and just trying to open that door and find things that you can engage her with that she's already interested in, could help with that. Let's see. We have 9 more minutes, and then we will. So 9 more minutes. If anybody has any other questions, if anybody has any questions about what we talked about, it doesn't have to be specifically what we talked about. It can be other stuff. And like I said, the ParentGood app, it's not endless, because of course it is, but there are so many things on there that you can get help with. Did you already explain the drop the okay? Drop the okay. Let me explain it. Thank you. I didn't. I said I would get back to it. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. So when you are speaking with your child and you want to communicate a clear expectation, or you want them to do something specific, and you want to make sure that it's not there isn't a rebuttal, what you can do is you can say it is we're going to clean up, and then we're going to go outside. When I talked about the first this then that, it kind of goes hand in hand with the drop the okay. I was involved with Pcit, which is parent-child interactive therapy. When you are talking to your child and you say, it's almost time for bed, okay? Or we're gonna, as soon as we're done cleaning up, we're gonna get ready for bed, okay? A lot of times we don't even realize, but because it's almost like we're just trying to be nice about it, or giving a little bit of a choice. But when we say it, it's open-ended. We're leaving the door open for them to say, no, I don't want to, or I'm not ready for bed. So drop the okay. In the back of my mind now, when I'm talking, or when I hear it out in public, I'll be like, oh, drop the okay. So when you want to communicate something with your child, it's non-negotiable. Getting your mind to just be trained and starting to say things matter of fact. We keep our hands to ourselves in our home. We walk in our home. We use kind voices instead of saying, no running, no screaming, don't hit your brother. Ah, ah. You say it, remember that we keep our hands to ourselves. Remember that we always make sure that we say kind things to one another. Or if you're angry, we have to use our words. And my favorite to this day, when kiddos are biting, we eat food, not our friends. So those are just little things that you want to say. It's time for nap. We're going to have lunch, and then we're going to get ready for nap. And that's it. There's no okay at the end. So now when you're starting to talk to your kiddos, you'll be cognizant, and you'll say, oh, I just said okay. And no, drop the okay. So those are just some cool tips that I've learned over the years that have just made a big difference in my own home, that I've kind of tried to pass along. So thank you for reminding me. There's my ADHD has where I said I'd get back to it, and I didn't, but I appreciate you reminding me. Let's see. We have 5 more minutes. super excited about this. This is so exciting. And I really appreciate it. It makes my mom heart happy to see all different caregivers. Like, we're trying. It's like we're all in it to win it, trying to get the best and do what's best for our kiddos. I wonder if my AirPods would work, because obviously I have a really big family. Sena, thank you. And don't forget, anybody, if you haven't already had your free consultation on the ParentGood app, make sure that you check it out and just let people know. I've already been out, even at the park, like, oh, this is going on. Let me show you this app. It's awesome. So it's been amazing. Therapy when we live alternative lifestyle. You know what, Sarah? I when it comes to that kind of thing, I think we're always our biggest critics, and it's like, in my opinion, nowadays therapists, I feel like sometimes they get the short end of the stick, because you don't want your kid to say, oh, I yelled at my kid today. We all struggle. I don't want them to blame the way we live while our kids. You can't, there's so many, there's so many things and support systems out there. Even on our app, we have specialists who deal specifically with and are connected with the LGBT community that would might be a fit. I'm just assuming what you mean by alternative, but if that's what it is, but you can't be afraid to get therapy or reach out to somebody for fear of a blame game, because guess what, if one therapist isn't working for you, it doesn't mean another one won't. And my girls are in it, and we've my girls have gone to 3. One of them they stopped because the insurance just changed, and another one just wasn't the right fit for one of my girls. And so you just have to try, just try your best and see what works. I always explain to my kids, we can try this. If it doesn't work, doesn't mean we have to keep doing it forever. It means, okay, it didn't work. Let's try something else. I am on social media. I have a personal Facebook account. It's for Sena DeLeon, but I haven't made like a one on in regards to the ParentGood app. But my Facebook one is what my name is. It's Sena Dawn DeLeon. The more friends, the merrier to me. So, but yeah, I should probably make like a social media page for that. You should definitely. I would. Thank you. That's so sweet. I love it. I just, and I am 46 years old, and I told my dad the other day, Daddy, you'll never guess it, because he's older and he's from the South. I said, I'm getting paid to run my mouth now, because he would say, you just talk so much and blah 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 blah. And I said, yeah, guess what? I'm getting paid to do it. But I love it, so that's why I do it. Thank you. Taisha, I sent you an email. Check your email, Taisha, because I know you had your consultation, and I sent you an extra email. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we're at our time. So check out the ParentGood app. It's wonderful. It's an incredible resource. And, I wish you all the best, and hope to talk to you guys soon. I'm so sorry, Taisha. Feel free to message me, because this session or this training is over, and I'm actually going in to a session right now with one of my clients. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you so much for coming, and make sure to go. ParentGood, I know, is on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Go and like them and share, and just get the word out. It's amazing. Have a great, great day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sena.
Okay. Have a good day.